This is part 2 of a 2-part episode.
This week, we have a wonderful show lined up for you. We're going to talk about the Simic Guild. Our guest is Andy Hull.
Hello, it's me.
I'm Phil DeLuca.
I am Nate Burgess.
And I am Sean Watson.
And we are Commanderin.
So my number 2 pick is what does green like to do? Likes to play creatures, doesn't it? What does blue like to do? It likes to counter spells. So we've got Mystic Snake. It's 4 mana, so 1 a green and 2 blue for a 2/2 creature. Flash, when Mystic Snake enters the battlefield, counter target spell. Now, it's not the best card ever. We've got other things that do similar. But because it's a creature, it allows you to flicker it and clone it and do all sorts of stuff to keep people locked out. So whack a Deadeye Navigator on Mystic Snake, for example. And it's, I've got 2 mana counterspell.
Yeah.
Always available to me.
Yeah, that's the play, right? You get your Deadeye out in this, and you just
Or your Mimic Vet.
Oh, yeah, Mimic Vat, get it, kill the snake.
Oh, yeah. Although that's only once, because you gotta tap it, but still pretty good.
I don't know, having an untapped Mimic Vat with a Mystic Snake on it is a pretty good threat.
Yeah,
New one's
absolutely.
casting Expropriate that turn.
Nope.
Oh. But I wanna...
I've not seen Expropriate resolve without the person winning the game, by the way, yet.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's disgusting.
We talked at length about it on our show. We loved it. It's very good, it looks like. I still haven't seen anyone play it, though. That's the thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you've not played me
You
recently.
will.
You will. We've seen some Mind's Dilations over here. That's a fun one.
I've lived the dream, Andy, of someone trying to disenchant Mind's Dilation and me ripping a counter spell off the top of their deck to counter their Return to Dust.
Oh my god! I thought you were gonna say you got their Mind's Dilation.
No, that's not happened, actually. That would be a good one. No, I've lived the dream of countering their own Return to Dust.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Oh, I laughed. Yeah.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, totally.
So there's not much more to say about Mystic Snake. There's a bunch of creatures that do a similar effect, but this is a particularly good one. And it's a snake. We all like snakes, don't we?
Yeah, whenever you put a whole other wicked spell on a creature, it just makes it that much better, usually.
And Flash is good. Flash goes into your Rush Me deck
Yep.
a lot.
Rush me.
Yep.
Sorry, Rush Me.
Rush me. Maybe one of the few snakes that you would actually put into a Casado deck.
Yes, this one, Coiling Oracle and Sakura Tribelder
Yep.
are the only 3 I can think of.
Maybe the Orochi Patron.
Yeah, that card's
Maybe.
good.
You want to untap all their forests.
Yep.
Yeah, good thought. Let's brew Casado one day. I think you should do that for your Brew and Brawl, Andy.
Oh yeah, we should. Good call.
That's one of the most fun aspects of Casado. You can call it Snake Tribal, and you've only got 4 or 5 creatures in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're all snakes.
Because Casado's like, I'm the tribe!
And that would be a budget deck as well, Andy.
Totally.
You should do that.
Yeah, we should.
So, Phil, what's your number 2 pick?
Oh, my number 2 pick is Zamek Guildmage. I find that most people have never heard of this card, and that's okay. It's a green and a blue for a creature elf wizard, uncommon from Gatecrash. It's a 2/2, and it has 2 activated abilities. For green and a blue, this turn, each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. That's handy if you've got something like Hardened Scales or, of course, Take a Drink Doubling Season or any of the other doublers. Too many. And the other activated ability is green and a blue. Remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control. draw a card. Handy in a pinch. Not the best draw in green or blue, but again, handy in a pinch. It's a good utility card.
I think that's very so. That first ability can be repeated.
Yep.
Yep, you can stack the triggers on these guild mages. I didn't know that when they first came out, but I was very familiar with this set. This is like I think this might be the set I played the most of because it was when I first started playing Magic, really. So I know the guild mages pretty well, and once someone told me you could stack them, I was like, oh man, yes, that's great. And this is one of the better ones for that if you got a ton of mana, which, Simic might have happening.
Yep.
You play a big Avengers Zendikar and do that twice after.
Oh,
it's a bit of a laugh.
It's almost like you've got a master buy.
Exactly. And you basically you paid the same price for it anyways.
You did, yeah. It's super good. Yeah, the guild mages are generally all underused, I think.
Yeah. Some of them are terrible.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, some of them are great, but it's that classic thing of this card does two pretty okay things, but the fact that it does two okay things is what makes it good.
And each guild has 2 guild mages, doesn't it?
Yes.
So
the older ones are generally much worse, I find. Although the Dimir one is pretty good, and I like the Azorius one a lot.
Yeah.
So, Andy, what is your favorite Simic card?
This was very hard to pick. Let me just tell you that. It was very hard. But when I looked at the list, and I looked at every single Simic card, this one was the one I was like, oh, of course. What do you mean? This is by far my favorite Simic card. Spitting Image.
Yeah.
Spitting Image.
I've never seen this be played.
No. You are being facetious.
Never had this played against me.
Are you serious?
I'd never seen this card before you put it. What does it do?
What? It's 4 and 2 hybrid Simic. So 6 mana total for a sorcery that says put a token into play that's a copy of target creature. All right, well, that's not that great. But it has Retrace, which means you can play this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. So this spell has buyback for discarding a land, basically.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be one of the ones that people forget that it's in your graveyard.
Absolutely. That is what happens.
Progenitor Mimic does it for free.
Yeah, exactly. It does, for sure. But Spitting Image, that's exactly the reason, Sean, is that people forget until you bring it out the next time, and then they're like, oh, crap. And you're not even running, generally, I mean, you might be, you might have this in Mimeoplasm or something, but I find that when just straight Simic, you're not really running a thing where you're filling up your graveyard on purpose and then pulling a lot of creatures out of it or anything like that. So no one really wants to exile your graveyard. They want to do that to the, to the Dimir player or the, whatever, the Chainer deck or whatever. So this Spitting Image,
sort of monster would exile all graveyards?
Me.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you can get that happening for sure, but Spitting Image usually gets to sit around and usually gets to copy the best creature on the board. It's my favorite clone. And then if you're playing in green and you get Take a Drink Doubling Season and you get Parallel Lives and you're playing that in one of your token based decks, ooh, look out. This card is nuts. I love it.
Yeah, it's I'm going to play with it. I've never, literally, it was the first time I'd ever seen it when you told me about it.
Wow, that's so weird.
The first time I heard of this was actually on your show. And I was like, I looked it up and I was like, wow, this is fun.
Oh, yeah, fun. What Magic is supposed to be.
I was like,
yeah.
It's not. As we all know, I am known for my Germanic efficiency.
Right.
But so I looked at this one and I didn't think it was very efficient, but I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. And yeah, unless you're playing against Nate, your graveyard is probably safe.
Yeah. And the fact that people forget about it, and it's 75%. It can be spiky, if the decks you're playing are really spiky, like this is an Iona, this is a Shieldred, this is a whatever you want, right? I love it. This is just hands down. I remember I saw this for the first time in Sean's cube, my Sean Tabaris, his cube, And I guess that's why we talk about it a lot, because he put it in his cube, and then we all sort of fell in love with it, learning to play Magic and playing with his cube and playing with Spitting Image and stuff like that.
That's cool. So you have good memories.
A lot of good memories with this card.
Too.
And like, why don't they make, I mean, I guess I would kind of know why they don't make it, because it's really good, but Retrace is just not an ability you see used in Commander a lot, I feel like, but why not? It's really good.
Because they replaced it with Flashback.
But they didn't replace it because Flashback was...
No, they started using Flashback more, and Flashback exiles the card, which made it, I guess, feel fairer.
Yes, yeah.
That's pure speculation.
Well, I think they just didn't put it on stuff because I think it's just... They need to put it on sort of bigger, clunkier spells like this one a little bit, because otherwise, you can't just be playing some burn spell in whatever format for discarding a land card, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. Who knows about those other formats?
Yeah.
Man?
Yeah, most of the retrace spells have sort of a retrace tax built into their converted mana cost.
Yeah, I bet, yeah. Well, I mean, this one does too, right? Because, this spell is usually less than 6 mana, that's for sure.
It's normally 4 mana,
that
spell.
Yeah, exactly, the clone. But the fact that it's a token can definitely be an upside, especially in Commander. So anyways, Spitting Image. A lot of fun.
Play it.
So Nate's top pick, I choked with, sort of trembled in fear.
Yeah, we have seen
of
this many times.
Post-traumatic stress memories when I saw Nate's card here. What's your number 1 pick, Nate?
Speaking of copying things, like maybe 3 times or 4 times, Biovisionary, 1, green, blue. Creature, human wizard, 2/3. At the beginning of the end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game.
I love your Biovisionary deck, Nate. I don't even remember who the commander is, but I just love that constant struggle of having to keep the Biovisionary down.
It's Riku of 4 Biovisionaries.
That's great.
It's full of clones. I spend the game making 2 copies of everybody's best thing, and then Biovisionary twice. And then more. And Progenitor Mimic adds a degree of inevitability. Oh, and if you're wondering what to do with your spy kit, it makes Riku a Biovisionary.
It does.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And it's important that he checks at the end step, not the upkeep, which makes him so much better.
Yeah.
Because if it was upkeep, you'd have to cycle the table and keep him alive. Nope.
Andy, as a Simic player, you are sort of obligated to play against Nate's Biovisionary deck.
Oh, I'd love to. I remember when this card came out, I was like, how can I use this? And then shortly after that, I discovered Commander and had this in my Prime Speaker Zagana deck, which had a lot of clone stuff in it. And every time I played this card and was like, okay, if this can survive 1 turn, I win. Everyone always killed it. And so I was like, get out of here. Like, I'm getting rid of this card. But I love it. It's yeah. Alternate win con? Sure, no problem. Make it be that I play 1 million clones? That sounds great.
Mm-hmm. It shows how Simic cheats at Magic.
Cheats.
Yeah, they cheat. This is like an extra level of cheating, though. Hey, play the spells you already have, and then you'll win.
Do you know, cheating, we've not even mentioned Blue's ability to take extra turns.
Cheating.
Yeah, cheat.
Well, if you have 4 Biovisionaries in play, you deserve to win because you have all the geniuses in the multiverse on your side at that point.
Well, I've cloned a supervillain 3 times, and they've teamed up.
All right, Nate, new mission, right? I want you to have 4 Biovisionaries in play, no cards in your deck, and a Lab Maniac in play.
I don't want to play Lab Maniac.
That alternate win con's fine, but this one's not. Right, okay.
Man.
And a Felidar Sovereign, all in play at the same time. Helix Pinnacle.
Sean, what is your third?
So my third pick, I've gone for something quite boring.
It's the British way.
But it's your number 1 choice, right?
It is my number 1 choice because I think it's underplayed and is extremely good, which is Urban Evolution. 3 and a green and a blue for a sorcery. Very simple. Draw 3 cards, and you may play an additional land card this turn. I mean, draw 3 cards is fantastic. 5 mana is reasonable for that, and it ramps you. So it does everything the colour pairing wants to do in one very simple card. You will never resolve an urban evolution and feel bad about it. It's cheat.
I've resolved an urban evolution and felt bad about it. I resolved an urban evolution and drew 3 lands.
Yeah, but you could play one of them.
Yeah, I could, but I already had like 12, 13 lands or something. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
crud. No, but this is like the... Like, you want to just take Simic and put it on a card, like raw Simic? Like, this is it, right?
Yeah, this is it.
That's why I picked it.
The only thing that could make it a little more Simic is if it was instant speed. But that wouldn't make a ton of sense.
Yet another way our guild is kept down.
Exactly. Not enough instant stuff.
Our
But no, but the
guild.
sorcery is like kind of green a little bit, right? And because it's play in the land, it's not like you just get to put one out or whatever. But yeah, this is it. And even the picture it is like what's happening in that art? Like that's like an ooze taking over a tree or something. What is that?
Science!
It's an ooze erupting out of the cityscape.
It's the master biomancers running rampant.
Oh, the
Yeah.
experiment went too far.
Oh,
Oh no! My
I shouldn't have taken the blue-green pill.
Too much power and toughness.
I expect lots of that'll be booped.
Yeah,
cut
it'll be
entirely.
fine.
You leave it
We've
in.
not said the word or anything, have we? So, I mean, Urban Evolution, not a lot to say about it. It's just super good. So, Phil, what's your number one?
Oh, my number one is also one of the first cards I picked up for the Mimeoplasm, and also one of the first cards I removed from the Mimeoplasm. Because it is such a combo enabler, and you're so tempted to do it. It's Gilder Bairn. I know you've mentioned this too, Andy, on your show. It's 1 and 2 Simic, so 3 converted mana cost for creature Oofy, a 1/3. Who would pay that for a 1/3, right? Well, it has a special ability for 2 generic mana and a hybrid green-blue, and untap it. For each counter on target permanent, put another of those counters on that permanent. And yes, so that's the untap symbol, which means you have to find a way to tap it, and so something like a Fate Stitcher or one of the vehicles that were just released in Kaladesh, you use this guy to crew one of the vehicles, and then you untap him for fun and profit. And the really cool thing is, if you have enough mana available, you can actually use him to crew an entire, like, crew 3 or maybe even crew 4 vehicle. Which, it's a lot of mana for that effect, but, you know, you're adding a whole bunch of counters to things, so maybe worth it. Definitely abusable. There are plenty of ways, for example, to tap a blue creature for mana.
Does this not just let you ultimate planeswalkers left, right, and center?
It does.
Well, and there's that too, right? Because it's target permanent, and this was in the days, I think, before planeswalkers existed. Oops.
Lorwyn was before Alara, yeah.
Yeah, and charge counters on your artifacts. It does not, of course, increase the number of counters on a player, so infect players can't jack the game using the Gilder Bairn completely. Jack the game, that is. Energy counters are immune. Experience counters, you can't do that either. So any counters that go on the player, nope. But counters that go on anything else, including your opponent's Dark Depths, Nate.
Ooh.
You can double the number of counters on them. It's brutal. Hydras, you got a Hydra? Double the counters.
This card is from Eventide. It's from the same set as Spitting Image. And didn't that come after Lorwyn? I don't know.
Yeah, Eventide, Morningtide, Lorwyn, and Shadowmoor, I think people generally mentally consider the same 4-set block.
Yeah, it's all the Lorwyn block.
Yeah. So, but was Lorwyn the first set in that block?
Lorwyn was the first of those 4, yeah.
So then this came out after Planeswalkers then?
That was Alara was Planeswalkers. Were they Lorwyn?
I think they're Lorwyn. I think the original 5, they're called the Lorwyn 5, aren't they?
Oh, you're right.
You might be right, yeah. Okay, this was nuts then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But this is dawning on me at the same time. I'm like, wow, they did this after Planeswalkers? I guess they didn't... Yeah.
It's
and
actually...
I guess they figured it would be too hard to do or something. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
I guess the Lorwyn Planeswalkers Ultimates weren't the best either.
I don't know. It's
really.
a Johnny Goldmane and Chandra Nalaar. Garrick.
They had the original Garrick, yeah. I mean, what's his ultimate? Like, Overrun or something, right? Or is that's
creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample. So, yeah, not too big.
So I guess it's not, like, too crazy, right? Yeah.
I think this is pre-Planeswalkers going nuts.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Interesting, of the 12 cards we've listed here, 7 are from Ravnica blocks and 3 are from Lorwyn blocks.
Well, that would make sense. Those are the multicolor sets.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's been lots of Simic cards printed across all over the place.
Although lately, they're not rares, though. They're all, like, they're usually, like, uncommons, like, build around uncommons for, like, Magic Origins and stuff like that.
Yeah. I find it interesting that none of us have chosen Kiora.
Is she that good?
Yeah, exactly. I have a Kiora right now sitting in my binder, and I love Planeswalkers, but I'm like, she just doesn't fit in anything. She's just not good enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
Do you like calamari?
Yeah, right?
The Master of the Depths Ultimate is pretty darn good.
Oh, I mean, there are very few Planeswalkers, the Ultimates, that aren't that good, right? Like,
yeah.
They're pretty much all, whether, if not game ending, they're all, I have now a crazy advantage for the rest of the game, of course, but getting to that ultimate, I mean, we all know in Commander, those Planeswalkers, it's tough to, you gotta have a pretty decent board presence before you can start running your walkers out.
Yeah, like that walker enters with 4 loyalty counters, and there's no way to get it to 8 instantly.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Wow.
I mean, obviously. Doubling season.
Good old cheating season.
Yeah.
Cheating season.
But, like, I think every Planeswalker goes without saying that if you have doubling season out, it's good.
No, I know.
Right? Like,
I know. I was being facetious because that's my role.
Because you love doubling season.
I think as Simic Planeswalkers, the 2 Kioras are okay. Neither of them are bad.
Yeah. Their +1s are not inspiring.
No. And the Octopus Ultimate is fun and thematic, but isn't going to... I've played against the one that puts the Kraken into play every turn. Still beat it.
Yeah, that seems beatable.
Like, I can handle a big dumb beater coming down every turn. Green does that anyway.
No trample.
And there's the other one like puts 3 of them out, but then they all fight something, right?
And they fight, yeah.
It's like, that's not even, I mean, I guess 3 giant 9/9 Krakens or whatever is decent, but
Well, I mean, every time you play a creature, it fights after that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
yes.
You may have it fight target creature, and then, of course, the ultimate says you get that emblem, but then you create 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens. So
I guess as a primarily a control player, speaking for myself, I don't really care about you fighting my creatures that much. I'd say, okay, go for it.
yeah,
Yeah, totally.
because they're going to be your opponent's creatures anyway.
But it does play into Simic,
Woo.
so like now you get this ability where now when you play the rest of your giant creatures, they're just going to eat something else, right? Like, if they do have stuff. So that's,
Yeah.
obviously ultimates are good. You don't need us to tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sean, you had us each select a legendary creature.
Yeah, so the Simic commanders available to you are all fairly decent, ranging from okay to pant-wettingly great. So rather than go through them all and list them all, because there's quite a few actually, I got us all to pick our favourite and discuss why we like them. And we've all, I think, picked things which cover different aspects of the guild. So Andy, what is your favourite Simic commander and why?
Okay, my favorite Simic commander is not Vorel of the Hull Clade. But I did want to mention it because how often is it that your name gets printed on a Magic card? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got a whole Clade, apparently. So that's pretty fun. I don't even know what a Clade is, really. I'm guessing it's a collection of human merfolk. But he's great, and I like him a lot, and he would be an excellent addition to my favorite Legendary Creatures deck, which is the first Simic deck I ever made, and only the third Commander deck I ever made, Prime Speaker Zagana. 2 green, 2 blue, legendary Merfolk Wizard. She's a 1/1, but when Prime Speaker Zagana enters the battlefield, she enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control, and when Prime Speaker Zagana enters the battlefield, you draw cards equal to its power. Very, very strong. I mean, obviously we're talking Simic, so we're talking big creatures, so it's not super uncommon to have your Terastodon out, or to have your Simic Sky Swallower and draw 7, 8, 9 cards when you play your commander. And then that's not to mention that you can flicker her or clone her and still get the card draw and everything, and then just let the clone die, or vice versa if you want, if she's pacified or something like that, right?
Let her die and then recast her.
Yeah, you could do that.
Seen that happen.
Yeah. I was like if you get the boots on her or whatever, then you can do that. But then if you can like ladder your Zaganas, where one comes down, then you let your commander die, then you cast it out again, but then you clone her. It's like it gets out of control very fast. And I have decked myself playing with, like, accidentally with my Prime Speaker Zagana deck. I was like, oh crap, what I just did means I draw 80 cards. You know, like, okay, sorry about that, I died. She's, but I'll tell you why she's my actual favorite. Nostalgia and everything like that aside, she's my favorite because she's the type of commander I love, which is the ones that give you a bunch of different abilities that are synergistic, but that you don't need to focus so hard on one thing. You can focus on one part of it. You can do everything. So with my Prime Speaker Zagana deck, I had it where there's a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies. There's a lot of your hand size matters, and drawing cards will make your creatures better, like Chasm Skulker and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and also I had a lot of bounce and flicker and stuff like that to obviously. So all of those things work with the commander, but then they all also worked with the rest of the deck. So one thing in Magic is to like focus and go hard on one strategy, because that's the way to make it the strongest, right? But the way I like to play is to have a lot of variance. And in my Zagana deck, it was always like, okay, well, this time I got a bunch of the flash stuff and a bunch of the draw stuff, but I didn't get any of the +1/+1 counter stuff. But guess what? It doesn't matter. It works together. And, you get different combinations and different levels of different stuff. And it feels like your deck plays differently every time. Whereas you get, like, I loved Azuri Claw of Progress when I first saw it, but then I was like, oh man, this like forces you to play little creatures. You just have to. And you kind of have to make that your strategy. Obviously, it's going to revolve around +1/+1 counters as well, and that's the fun part of it. But I have to cram 20 or 15 or whatever creatures with 2 power or less or whatever. And it's like, oh, you're really forcing me down a specific road here. Whereas Zagana is just this like utility commander that you can build a lot of different strategies around her. And it's a lot of fun. Yep.
It's the basic draw to win strategy, right? Where
certainly
you're just pulling cards out, and it doesn't matter. You're pulling a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you find your win condition somewhere in there, and you use cards that synergize with having lots of cards in your hand.
And you don't need to cast, like, wait until you've got a Terastodon to cast her. You can cast her out when you've got a 3/3 and draw 4 cards. It's not the ideal situation for your Prime Speaker Zagana, but sometimes that's what you need to do. I have cast Prime Speaker Zagana to an empty board and drawn 1 card before. Like, I have fully done it, and I remember specifically I got the card I needed.
No, she doesn't check herself for the +1s, does it?
It's just her power, so she enters as a 1/1 if you have nothing
Other
else.
Creatures,
so you
I was just seeing if she
card.
gave herself a +1/+1 if she was the only creature, but she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
Boo.
But I love her. She's great.
So, Phil, you have to go do this thing called a job, I hear.
Yeah, and I get surprisingly little sleep these days, see? And
Prove evidenced in your sentence construction, yes.
And I don't see my family. As we all know, they are paying the ultimate price tonight. I have turned the air conditioning off, and despite it being October, it is still very hot in Glendale.
It's not hot here. So, Phil, what's your pick for your
My
favorite commander?
Pick is a commander I built a very flavorful deck around. It's Edric, Spymaster of Trest, which of course is an abbreviation for, well, something I won't go into. For 1 and a green and a blue, you get a legendary creature, Elf Rogue 2/2, and it's just simple. It uses the draw to win strategy as well. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. And of course, everybody fears the super combo-y potential of Edric, and so he gets hated out whenever you play him. And of course, what you're doing with Edric is making sure that your creatures are unblockable and or have trample. The best is when you play, the guy who gives you horsemanship, which I can't recall right now.
Sun Quan.
Sun Quan, that's it. Sun Quan, and he makes all your creatures unblockable instantly. Archetype of Imagination, a fun card with that too. But it's so much fun when you put a big, trampling, horrible Hydra creature out, and in addition to just smacking your opponent for some value of damage greater than 5 or so, you also just get to draw a card kind of as the gravy. It goes nuts. Even without the infinite combos, it's just so much fun. And again,
try and draw your creative behemoth and win that way.
Yeah, I actually deliberately do not play Craterhoof in the Edric deck because I just thought that was too gross. But the other cards I get to play with, rather, are some of those fun cards that say whenever this creature causes damage, draw a card. So you get a double trigger off of it. There's a couple of Theros and, other cards that you would just never draw because they're usually utter garbage. And they're kind of fun in this deck, so it's fun. Plus,
wait, are you calling Bident of Thassa utter garbage?
No, not Bident of Thassa, but
okay,
the ones that are meant to trigger heroic, right? Which, again, just utter garbage. So, I know, we'll get lots of hate mail. Send all hate mail. Actually, send all hate tweets to @Copain26.
Yep.
And, so I like this guy. He's just fun. Refills your hand.
Oh, the next person that tweets me telling me that I got the rule for Gonti wrong in the last episode is going to get a sarcastic tweet back. I get them hourly.
Yeah. Well, because you really got that wrong.
Well, that's fine.
In fact,
hey, Phil, I feel like you're going to get a bunch of tweets about pronouncing it Edric, so there's that too.
Well, Edric, as we all know, is one of our Patreon contributors.
Oh, yeah.
I really do have to go, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, Andy. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sorry I can't stay for the ultimate finale, which I'm sure is going to come, and I look forward to hearing it.
Well, we had such a good time talking off the top. That's why you can't finish. That's why it was such a good time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it really is. We spent, what was it? We spent like 40 minutes just talking before the show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And don't forget to plug your Patreon at the end of this.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Phil, go be legendary.
All right, I'm going to go clone myself, or at least that's the euphemism I use.
I got a wallet.
Bye, guys. This was so much fun. It's the highlight of my week. I've really missed this for the last. It only for our listeners, it only looks like 2 weeks, but for us, it's been a lot longer.
Peace and love, Phil. Peace and love.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And Nate, on Phil going, what's your favorite Simic commander?
My pick is Krufix, God of Horizons.
Wow.
3 green, blue, legendary, enchantment, creature, god, indestructible, 4/7 sometimes. As long as your devotion to green and blue is less than 7, so you need 5 more after this guy. Krufix is not a creature. You have no maximum hand size. Okay, that's fine. If unused mana would empty from your mana pool, that mana becomes colorless instead, and you keep it.
Yeah.
And then you spend it.
That's saucy, that is.
So Seedborn Muse, Doubling Cube, And then you're casting Genesis Wave for 78.
This is the big mana commander, like, of all of Magic, right? Like, this is the guy.
He saves it up.
Saves it up. Doesn't go anywhere. Turns colorless. Get your Eldrazi's, man. Like, go nuts.
Yep. Okay, so for the Eldrazi, him or Rakdos, Lord of Riots?
Yeah.
Which would you choose?
I choose Krufix.
No.
I would also choose Krufix.
Yeah.
No.
I would choose him just because it's more, like, reliable. Like, I've seen Rakdos decks just have trouble either occasionally getting that one bit of damage, like if you can really deal with their stuff that does that, or very occasionally just like remove Rakdos, deck doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
because it's red-black. Like, what are they doing? They're like, well, I don't need a ramp. I have Rakdos, you know? So,
and Cabal Coffers.
Yeah, well, I don't even really see that a lot. I mostly see making sure I get 2 red and 2 black by turn 4, and then Rakdos takes care of the rest, which is generally what does happen.
Yeah, he does.
He's a great commander, but I choose Krufix not only because that's my guild, but I don't know, like when you have the ramp color, I feel like it's just more reliable that you're going to be able to stockpile over a turn or two, 20 mana or something.
Mm-hmm.
Krufix can be a great commander for Hydra Tribal as well.
Oh, good call, yeah.
Yeah, where you want to sink a bunch of X into your Hydras. He's really, really good for that.
My Hydra Tribal deck is Azuri. Claw of Progress. Cast them as little guys, and then he makes them bigger. You don't even have to spend the mana.
Is Krufix in that deck?
I don't even have a Krufix, and that's
Oh,
I am ashamed to admit that. I know.
If it wouldn't cost me as much as it costs to buy one, I'd ship you one because I've got a bunch of them.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. No, I never got one because, well, first of all, I did play a lot of this block, but I opened like every god except Krufix, and I was like, by the time I went to get one, it was a little too expensive, and then at rotation they didn't drop much because they're a big EDH card.
Yeah, his Journey into Nyx wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think that was open.
No, I didn't get
as
opened
much.
nearly as much. I opened an Athreos.
So you're an agnostic Simic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess I know there's a god, but I don't believe in him. I don't adhere to it.
If only there was a prophet of him to come and tell you all about the good news, but I haven't seen one for a while, so...
The Theros Bible Belt's going to be really mad at me. They're not going to be into that.
Oh, I just broke rule 2, didn't I?
No, you know what? This is tied to the card. This is allowed. Yeah, I definitely need Krufix and would very much like to get one. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. I'll break down and get one.
Cool. Anything else to say about Krufix, Nate?
He's indestructible, and he's not a creature unless you want him to be.
Or you play your Overbeing of Myth.
Definitely do not do that.
So, my favourite Civic Commander is new and shiny, and I thought was worthy of a mensch, is Rashmi, Eternity's Crafter. 2, a green and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature elf druid. Whenever you cast your first spell of each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it is a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that spell's, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it into your hand. So, kind of Cascade, but instead of putting it to the bottom of your library, you draw it.
Yeah.
It's sensational. As I said, it turns every cantrip into draw 2, sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
It's just brilliant. I played against a 1v1 against a Skullbriar deck using Rashmi. Because the deck was all focused around instant speed spells and flash creatures, so I could keep getting the triggers on it in other people's turns. I could just keep Skullbriar nice and controlled until I had enough mana out from hitting ramp spells to keep the board state controlled and just smash him over on him, decimate provinces, and I do run Creative Behemoth in this one. But I thought if I'm embracing green and easy mode, I might as well do it the easiest way.
Another card I don't have. Craterhoof Behemoth, yeah.
I only have the one, but I have a genuine rule of only ever having one green deck available to me at any time, which is why I no longer have a Maelstrom Wanderer deck, because I built Rashmi.
Oh, wow.
And she's sensational.
Yeah, this deck, I did this one for our Kaladesh episode of Commanders Brew, and I was building it thinking like, oh, this is great. You get this free card, probably like maybe half the time if you build your deck right or whatever, right? And then I realized that this commander plays the same way Afara plays, which is another god. That's the Azorius god. And actually, like on EDH Rec, like not a very popular Azorius commander, which I find kind of weird. But anyways, it plays in the same way in that you want everything to be at instant speed because you want to play on the other turn, so you get that draw and that maybe that free spell. But getting that free spell is like, that's not even like that's bonus, right? Like you get to play all the counter spells in this deck and then just draw a card every time you counter something and occasionally get something for free while you do it. It's nuts.
Every counter spell replaces itself.
Yeah, every counter spell replaces itself. You get the flashing and flickering and flashing in of creatures. You get like Archaeomancer and all that stuff. So bringing it all back and like Rashmi is nuts. She's maybe the, I don't know, maybe not the best, but she definitely quickly was in the top like 3, I think, of Simic commanders.
I still think Edric is more powerful.
That's exactly who I was thinking of. I was like, Edric is still probably better, but
Edric, I think, has one deck, whereas Rashmi, I think you have a lot more scope for sort of building your own version of her, whereas Edric, it's all those little 1/1 flyers and things with evasion, and then smash with an overrun.
Yes, absolutely. And I liked using evoke creatures with Rashmi. That was kind of fun.
Ooh, I've not tried that. I see. There you go. So I've gone for lots of flash keyword ability, so Venzer, and I'm lucky enough to own some Vendilion clicks, so there's one of them in there, and all sorts of good stuff. I didn't put Teferi in there because a lot of my stuff's instant speed or flash anyway. It was just pissing people off too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when it stops other people using their instant speed stuff, it draws too much of hate on you. I genuinely believe, to look at Commander as a wider format, a skill in Commander that people don't talk about enough is hate management.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, good call.
And there are times where certain commanders, Rafiq's the best example, Jason Holt got it right the first time, just draw too much hate, regardless of how you've built them.
Yeah.
Rashmi might start to fall into that category. At the moment, she's not. People are more interested in to see what she's going to do, but I think eventually she'll become a bit hated. And Teferi, I say, bring it back to that, is why I didn't put him in the deck, is he just draws way too much hate.
Interesting.
As soon as you stop people doing something, rather than making yourself be able to do something better, you stop your opponent being able to do it. That's when you get hated. That's why, like Grand Arbiter, talking about Azorius commanders, Grand Arbiter's so hated because not only does he make you better at casting your spells, he makes your opponent worse at casting theirs.
Stacks. It's just the worst. It's my least favorite strategy in Magic, period.
I enjoy beating it.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's always good to beat it, but...
And every Stacks commander always complains like they're being picked on. Oh, why are you being mean to me? All I've done is play a couple of things that mean it's harder for you. Oh,
all I've done is stop you from playing. It's like, oh, yeah, that's all. All it ever does is it turns it like, every time I've ever played against
What's wrong with Tanglewire?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like,
perfect.
It makes every game 4-on-1 or 3-on-1 until they're out, and then we can play normal commander.
But if you're a kind of player that turns around and says, yeah, fine, I got hated off, GG, well done, that's fine. But every Stacks player I've played against recently just goes, oh, I don't like doing this, you're mean on me, I didn't come here to play Arch Enemy, I come here to play Commander. It's like, alright, sure.
Sorry, bud.
Yep. So anyway, Rashmi, should I say, is superb. Superb.
Yeah, awesome commander. I was really stoked to see it, and in practice, it's very, very good.
So I think that brings us... There are some other good Simic commanders, some odd ones like Momir Vig's, probably worth a mention. He's your ultimate toolbox commander, just a stack full of creatures that do things, go find them, play them. He's your tutoring. He's very good in Rashmi, actually, because you can stack the triggers, cast a spell, use Momir Vig's trigger to put a spell on top that has the right CMC to cast it for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's
good call. Momir Vig, one complaint I hear from Momir Vig players is that because his whole thing is tutoring, you tend to play the same deck every time. You tend to play the same game every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, toolboxy as he can certainly be, you probably end up pulling out the same cards first and then dealing with whatever needs to be dealt with, and then you probably win the same way every turn, or every time rather. So.
Yeah, every time I've played with him or against him, because I tried him for a little bit, it was just a great hoof win.
Yeah, right? Like every time it's the same thing, so.
Yeah, I toolbox the table down until I've got the right mana. I've got a load of little wheelies that have done stuff and mana dorks, and I just create a hoof win. GG.
GG's.
Okay, well, that concludes our talk on Simic. Any final thoughts on it?
I do have one final thought, and it's a little card I wanted to mention because we were playing a game the other night, and a friend of mine brought it out, and I was like, what is this? Weird card. And that's what Commanders Brew does.
It does.
We find weird little cards. And so I wanted to bring one for you guys. It's a Simic card. For me, I just discovered this. Maybe this is well known already. I don't know. I've never seen it before. It's called Pygmy Hippo. Do you know Pygmy Hippo?
I do not know Pygmy Hippo.
Pygmy Hippo is it's from Visions. It's a rare from Visions, although you would never know because they didn't have the rare symbol back then. But it's blue-green for a creature hippo. It's a 2/2. And it says, whenever Pygmy Hippo attacks and isn't blocked, you may have defending player activate a mana... Okay, this is the Oracle, by the way. This is the Oracle text, okay?
That's a lot of text.
You should see it on the card. It's insane. So the Oracle text is, you may have defending player activate a mana ability of each land he or she controls and empty his or her mana pool. So basically, tap all the mana down and empty the mana pool. If you do, Pygmy Hippo assigns no combat damage this turn, and at the beginning of your next main phase this turn, you add an amount of colorless mana to your mana pool equal to the amount of mana emptied from that player's mana pool this way.
It costs the spell Power Drain.
Yes.
Wow.
When it attacks and isn't blocked.
Why have I never seen that before?
Because it had too many words on it.
I mean, it doesn't work because of the mana burn rules. So you attack me with the Pygmy Hippo, and I'm not going to block it. Before you assign damage to me, or before I assign blockers, I just tap all my mana. So you're still tapping my mana out, but you're not getting anything in your pool. Or
no, you do.
Oh no, it doesn't work. You still get it anyway.
It does work because their mana
pool
is emptied no matter what. So if they do it before his trigger it makes them, that's okay.
Triggers,
yeah. I mean, if they spend it on something, that's different. But it's like it's not like an amazing card or anything, but like it's kind of neat. It's kind of this cool little dude. So if you're running an Edric deck where you're making a lot of your little guys unblockable. Or if you're running, it's not Simic, but if you're running Derevi, the way I run Derevi, which is lots of little guys unblockable and then getting lots of untapped triggers and stuff, Pygmy Hippo's great in that deck. You want these little dudes who have cool little abilities when they hit, so.
That card's going to be about between 1 and 2 gumballs.
Yeah, it's currently 88 cents or something like that, like 50 cents. So, it's neat.
That is super cool. I really like that. That's great.
There you go.
That's a bit of secret tech. This is why we love Commanders Brew, listeners. Go check them out for all that kind of... Well, I never even heard of that type of weird stuff. Yeah, great. Thank you, Andy. Genuinely,
no
thank you
problem.
for that.
Throw that in your Crewfix decks also, I guess.
I'm buying it now. I'm going to put it in my basket.
It's also
there you go.
Back when they were making hippos, and that was a full-on creature type in Magic, was hippo.
Oh yeah, you have to have this in your Feldergriff deck. Come on.
You have to.
Okay, so on that note, I'm just going to have to say thank you for tuning in, everybody. If you want to support the podcast for all the good things we put in your ears, head on over to Patreon. Or give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We love our listeners and are incredibly grateful to all the patroniers. So, come get your gratitude. Come play test with us, and if you donate $10 or more per episode, you can come join our Patreon chat group we host over on Facebook. Our theme song was created by this man. Say hello, Nate.
Hello, Nate.
Our logo was created for the podcast by mrpicto.co.uk with assistance from Kelly DeLuca. Special thanks goes to our tech whizzes, Jessie, Thomson and Graham Frank, and to Justin for his server space. You can reach us by going to our website, commanderin.mtg.com, and of course our email is cast@commanderin.mtg.com. You can find us on all the social media by searching for commanderin.mtg.podcast. And individually on Twitter, I'm at Copain26.
I'm at Mr. Plorg.
Phil is at KetJack. And Andy, how can we find you on all the stuff?
I'm at Andy Hullbone, and that's Hull. Some people hear that as Hull, but it's not. It's Hull.
And where can we find the Commanders Brew?
Commanders Brew is at www.commandersbrew.com. We're on iTunes and all your local podcasting apps. We're also on YouTube. Just search for Commanders Brew. You'll find us there. We're on Patreon also. We have that as well. And yeah, all kinds of magic related stuff. MTG Canada. Go there as well.
And Andy, in the style of a master biomancer who has just discovered what horrific things he's done to himself, could you take us out, please?
What? Whoa, my d***'s an eel. There you go.
That's how it goes.
Wow, that's so weird.
Yeah, when hey Sean, can you move away from the mic when you sniff?
Oh, sorry. It was a one-off sniff situation.
Well, there was 4 so far.
He's been counting them since Trump.
Yeah, so nasal polyps. I discovered I had nasal polyps when I was at a Pearl Jam concert, and I was singing my little heart out, and I took a deep breath in to go into the chorus of Alive, and I felt a sort of strange blockage, then clarity, as a grape-sized, sort of yellowy, fleshy lump flew from my nasal cavity down the back of my throat, which I nearly choked on, pulled it out, looked at it and went, oh my god, I've just like ripped a flesh grape out of the back of my nose, and then suddenly I can breathe really well. Wrapped it in some tissue, stuck it in the pocket of my combat trousers, which was the fashion, and then took it to the doctors the next day to say, am I dying, doctor?
But did you stay at the concert?
It's alright. I thought if I die at a Pearl Jam concert, I'll be happy, at least.
Yeah.
I like to think the healing power of Eddie Vedder got rid of them.